Picks and bans, please.
I don't. What's the problem?
You like that? You like how
the way you summoned it?
I summoned the picks and
Did you
bans.
dive into the picks and bans?
No, I will not.
Do you want to dive in with me?
This just makes me think of Baby Shark. You know? And so that's
I've
what I'm
actually
thinking.
never seen the video. I've only heard it.
Oh, I've got it. I got it. I got
You can show it to me later.
Okay. Shivalonge. Doot, doot, doot. Gonna be banned out here by Sanguine. You really haven't...
Never seen the video. I've heard it sung quite a bit of times, though.
Well, I'll make sure you hear it later as well.
Thanks for that.
No problem. I got you. No, that's not a high five. Audio banned out here by Hype Unit as well. Sanguine going to ban out the Odin, as is per the norm. That's the term I'm looking for. As per usual, the Odin going to be banned out against Wolves. This guy is just too damn strong on that pick, so Getaway, that's banned pretty much as what you're going to expect here.
I almost would have liked to see them first pick Odin at this point. Just like pick it for themselves.
Sure.
For Sanguine. This discourages Jormungandr, discourages Hell as well from basically...
Does it discourage Jormund?
A little bit. And you could World Serpent out of it, sure. But everything else, you're going to lock him in.
Sure.
So you don't have to worry about that.
I understand that much, and it also dissuades the Hell pick like you were talking about. But with Arthur and Merlin both on the board, Sanguine going to opt for the Merlin, hoping that the King Arthur will dissuade Hype Unit from going to the Jormungandr is what I'm thinking at the very least.
It could be. Also, keep in mind Freya's available, so those three between Merlin, Arthur, Freya specifically left open by both of these teams, knowing it's like a little bit of a bait and switch.
Sure. Well, the King Arthur will be selected here by Hype Unit, so Camelot and Avalon will crash together. And Achilles will be the choice as well for Hype Unit. Again, could be in the hands of the support inbound. We've seen him played a number of times. Could also find its way into the jungle. Got to be wary of where these characters are going. A lot of ambiguity on the side of Hype Unit for sure.
Yeah, you never know where Bobby is going to be playing this Achilles. And it's always weird thinking about Inbound, whose name is Bobby, going up against Sanguine's Hunter, which is also named Bobby. So the comms could be interesting for both teams there.
Guan Yu and Hachi will be the selections here for Sanguine. We'll see how these guys kind of work out together. Guan Yu very successful earlier in our day today. We'll see if that continues over here in our fourth match of the evening. And with Hype Unit looking to round out their first half of the draft, could it be a mid lane mage? Could it be a hunter? There's a number of options. Still a jungle to potentially on the table with Achilles, although I'd like to see it be a hunter or a mage, so that this way Sanguine still has that mark of ambiguity in their mind. And it'll be a Jingwei.
I like it because last game they actually locked in the Hachimon, but because Sanguine picking that one off, they need to find another safe hunter that they could put for Griffin. Allow the front line from Hype Unit to do their thing, because if I'm thinking of Wolves, thinking of Layers, thinking of Inbound, they're the catalysts to set up the plays. Allow Griffin and also Baronic to just kind of come in later on in the game. So play those safe hunters like the Hachimons and the Jingweis of the world and just keep your front line busy.
Second round of bans coming out, and Bat's already taken care of. You heard the casters talk about Kumquat's Fear No Evils, and definitely want to keep that away. Fear No Evil, a very potent tool, so with that off the board, and it leaves a couple of other options. Now, Sanguine on the timer, it will be the Kuzenbo ban, a character that we saw played last time around, but not this time. And now Hype, they've got one more ban to their knowledge, and again, I'd like to take a look towards that jungle. Merlin almost certainly for the mid lane, Guan Yu, a little bit of, mix and match there, support or solo, but Hachi, very solidified, so I doubt we see the Guan jungle, so I want to see a jungle ban, but it's a Kubakarna ban, and I'm okay with that.
As good as the Kuzenbo ban is for Sanguine, and rather has been played by Truancy in that first game, I think that they're afraid that Hype Unit could still lock it in for themselves. That's the reason why I think this game lasted so long, was Truancy's performance on the Kuzenbo. It's like 15 minutes until we finally saw one kill on the table, and a lot of it came down to the defensive peels that Truancy was able to provide for his team. It's difficult to lock down anyone against the Kuzenbo with the Sumo Slam, being able to reset those cooldowns in less than 2 to 3 seconds with the spike shells, and then you got the watery grave knockups to keep in trouble.
Cabrakan does a great job specifically against Guan Yu, and Cabrakan is a character that Layers really enjoys playing, so taking that off the board also a very good look here for Sanguine, and that leaves Arlong Shen the choice of the choice for Hype Unit as we see them trudge forward in the picks and ban phase. Option over to Sanguine one more time, and now they need two more choices. What I expect to be a support in Bacchus, character that it's number one, once upon a time, very slight changes, but brought down a peg. I think he's just as potent. And the jungle choice for Sanguine here on the way. Nemesis. I like it.
Against gods like Achilles and Arthur, when you're trying to burst them down,
Exactly.
Nemesis, Divine Judgment, you can never really go wrong with that. Stealing some of their protections with the Divine Judgment passive, rather, or Turn of Fate passive, I think, is what they're looking for. There's a lot of burst damage for Sanguine's composition. Keep in mind, Bacchus Intoxicate. As long as he's smashed, he gets extra magical power. So look for this 3-on-3 grouping between Merlin, Bacchus, and Nemesis.
Hype Unit looking for their last selection here as far as the draft is concerned, and it will be the Vulcan. So Vulcan will find its way into that center lane, and then Xingwei in the carry role, and then who knows where everybody else is going to wind up. Likely Arthur at the short side. But without further ado, game number 2. Let's ask the casters, how do you do?
Hey, Tom. Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, what's up, Finch?
If you had to name an MVP from Game 1, who would you name?
More Wolves.
Okay, more Wolves. And he beat them with Jormungandr, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so then would you then give him King Arthur in the next game as a response?
Has King Arthur been nerfed into the ground?
No, not into the ground. He's been touched some, but certainly still good.
Do people still do really absurd things sometimes with Arthur?
Yes.
When they are, specifically when they are a better player than you?
All the time, yes.
Yeah, I would not give him King Arthur.
Well, here's the thing, though. King Arthur was played last game, right? And didn't do super well.
Correct.
So maybe...
Yeah, but that was not Wolves playing it.
Fair.
Here's the deal. Wolves is the best player who are currently loaded into the spectator flag.
Right.
You know?
Undoubtedly.
Of the 10 names on this field, Wolves is the best player.
Yes.
And so I would not be excited to give him the best god, potentially. Now, Teep's playing a very good god as well. They end up
He's on Merlin.
taking Merlin instead of King Arthur. And he does have a diamond. In fact, lots of Sanguine members flexing some diamond skins, maybe hoping to channel the power that Wolves seemed to have last game. Not a bad idea. I do like Sanguine's draft overall. I still wouldn't have given Wolves Arthur.
Well, they largely could have gotten the same draft minus the Arthur without giving up the Wolves.
You mean if they banned it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or minus the Merlin is what I mean to say, right? Yeah, but they could have gotten the same draft, yeah.
Yes, the same draft minus the Merlin, and how much will Merlin actually provide to you is the question, and we'll see.
It's a lot on him.
Yeah, and Teep did not have an inspiring performance last game, to say the least. So
That's right. So how confident would you feel if you're going into a game and someone said, hey, we need you to provide Wolves on King Arthur levels of value this game?
I wouldn't feel great until Inbound decides to gift us a First Blood.
Oh, it's very, very close. He runs away, though, and manages to make it out. They couldn't keep up the chase.
Griff now in actually a bit of trouble himself.
Inbound, you can't come back in here, right?
He's going to try. Actually,
What?
he can because
What?
a great persistent gust from Griff right on time. Now he just needs to juke the belly flop, but even if he does it, you're good, man.
No, he actually does get hit by the belly flop still unnecessarily, but it's okay. They
No,
got
that's
First
the
Blood.
only way Truancy lives. That's the only way he lives, is if you use 72 transformations early. It's the only way. You just wait. Inbound dying isn't a negative for you, Layers. You probably like that. Why drop the kill because you're trying to save him, man? Come on.
Unnecessary. A very interesting exchange that happened over here in the dual lane side, and I don't want it to go unspoken that Griff did save that fight for them. That should have been
100%.
way worse.
100%.
but an excellent play on the Jingwei, and now Wolves in some trouble. Kumquat's on his way here to try and slow this one down. Slice and dice land, so he's certainly slowed. And now a chance to take him out, two-man dash, but Wolves is playing Arthur and makes it back out.
Yeah, those Warriors Blessing heals just enough, and that's actually a bit of luck that he's able to space out that his proc wasn't on cooldown and is able to get one right as he dashes out.
Flop in from Truancy doesn't land for the knockup. That means now he doesn't have any mobility. Another good knockup from Griff in response, but they can't find it. Meanwhile, Sanguine want to aggress on the right-hand side, but who's here but Baronic to find a kill that Jacob Tass backfire takes him out.
Really good rotation over from Baronic and just utilizing that extra bit of clear speed that Vulcan seems to have in the early stages. If you're not putting pressure on that turret, he can drop it. Does a lot of damage to the minions for him. And the book 2 means that he's got plenty of power in order to rotate over. I'm surprised at Teep's Talon start here. Talon
Right.
Trinket. You really need a lot of CDR on Merlin, I feel like, to not because you're always getting your abilities back by stance switching, but you want to be able to stance switch as much as possible in order to get yourself in a perfect position and honestly use that stance switch aggressively
It's a lot of damage.
Because it's a lot of damage that also peels for you, or sets you up if you're being the aggressor, especially against a character like Vulcan. If Baronic walks in a lane is a little bit too low, you blink on him, use that elemental mastery, and you put out a decent amount of damage. That's 160 at rank 1 that you're putting your first point into it, and that's a good amount. So it actually adds up pretty quickly, and so team might be looking to play aggressively with this, try and jump in and use it and get low, and then use that extra damage from the Bancroft's talent to his advantage. But I really think that going for the early CDR is usually the better call on Merlin.
The Bancroft is the idea here instead. So nice power bank items for both of our mid lane main just to get things started. They both skip the Mage's Blessing. So I guess if both of us don't have a ton of extra mana, then it's okay. Except now Baronic does have a ton of extra mana because he's got Book of Thoth.
That's
so
right.
not the MP5 so much, I guess, is the real thing. But you're right, he's got a bunch of extra mana to help him out there. So we'll see if Mr. T can keep up with it. Remember, he's the one that we're focused on a lot in this game because he's got to match that value. And yeah, they got the Merlin, but a lot of the times when you give up King Arthur, don't you also want like Camazot or something that can battle out with him in lane? Guan Yu does have Sustain, which is very nice. He's harder to move, but I don't know if it's quite the same thing. This King Arthur should go unchecked.
Layers trying to encroach on this blue buff invade, but a little bit off the mark with everything.
Oh no. That's not how you want that at all. Let's head back in, though, see how the rest of the fight's going. Wolves has been stunned and now in some trouble. The heal's coming out as well, but he immediately takes Teep up, but a blink out. The flicker very strong indeed and gets Teep out of there away from the big ultimate from Baronic, but I love the idea.
Oh, that was so close, man. Baronic nearly timed it perfectly. Inbound misses on his fatal strike, but again, will survive on 1 HP, again, because of Griff in that fight. Well done, I suppose, for those two.
That's why he had to take the slays out of it, because now it's Griffin carries or save. Oh, that's even better. Yeah, saves Bobby. Jesus, man. Or inbound, rather, on that one. You gotta watch out on some of these.
Hey, man, the duo lane is not 2 separate health bars, but 1 collective health bar. That's
all right.
Are
you a fortune cookie now, or
no? That's what Brochacho always used to tell me.
Oh, I see.
I would hear him yell at our rotating door of ADCs constantly about how, hey man, you just gotta stay. Like, I'm low, just stand and fight for me because you're healthy, and they'll look at you, and then I live and you live. They only have so much damage. I heard this. I heard the speech all the time, man.
I love it. Was Chacho full of stuff like that?
All the time.
I believe it.
He was a very. He definitely spoke in fortune cookie phrases quite a bit, but he wasn't wrong. I would have stopped him if he was wrong.
Yeah, you would have been. He ain't never lied. Not in the time I've known him. Truly, though, I only got to spend time around him towards the end of Season 4, really, for Chacho.
Good man.
Certainly seemed that way when I was with him, but not going to be helping out here in this match. Hype Unit and Sanguine must stand alone without the wisdom from Chacho. Gladshield comes out first from Wolves. Blackthorn Hammer is the follow-up from Task. And these are both perfectly good bridge sort of hybrid items for both of them to provide exactly what they need.
A little bit more expensive on the Blackthorn Hammer for Jacob Task, as it is a true Tier 3 item, but provides far more when it comes to HP in comparison to the Glad Shield that Wolves has. But you're not playing Arthur to not buy Glad Shield. I can tell you that much right now.
That's good damage to the BM Bobby. The stun's there too, and now an execute Threshold that forces out the horse. Nice knockoff from Truancy as well. And now Kumquat has a chance to rotate in and turn things around. He drops his own ultimate, brings Bobby low in the dash to keep up, but the autos don't quite land, and Inbound just barely makes it out.
For the 3rd time this game, Inbound makes it out on less than 100 HP. Making it look easy, man. Got 3 ultimates there for just his 1. That is an absolute win for the Hype Unit support.
And that's how he plays. He's very comfortable working those margins. Now Jacob Task in some trouble. Remember, we just saw the jungler in duo lane, so Task knows there's no backup coming, has to go right up onto the cavalry charge and retreat.
Such another win, though, by Hype Unit. They trade out Wolves' ultimate, which is a 20-second cooldown, by the way. And then you get out the ultimate from Jacob Task, which is a lot longer cooldown, by the way.
Yeah. We'll
take those.
We'll be taking pride in Avalon here before too long. It won't be very long at all before we're back up in the air in favor of.
So Camelot is the kingdom.
Right. Oh, if you're going to ask me what Avalon is specifically.
There's an Avalon down the street.
Yeah, that's about all I could tell you. Yeah.
Okay. That's a nice spot. There's lots of shops and restaurants there.
It is real nice there. If you had been there at 6 a.m. recently, you'd have seen a struggling rain day.
Oh, no.
Having some trouble.
Why? Was he okay?
Yeah, he ended up making it in the end.
I'm so lost.
You should go ask him. It's a great tale, a harrowing tale.
Well, he used to be the mayor of Avalon. Did you know
That's
that?
true. I did know that.
Yeah, they called it Avalon when he lived there.
You have big facts. You have not yet lied.
I really earned. That was way more of a laugh than I deserved on that, by the way. For Avalon.
What did I try earlier? I called him Evangelon or something like that. It didn't. It didn't. Get
No,
him
that's
off.
not great.
It wasn't that fun.
I appreciate the attempt.
I sure tried. I've never strayed away from trying. I swing every time.
That's true. Yeah, you're not striking out on a pitch down the middle.
No,
no
way.
You're not watching the strike three.
If he turns around and he throws to first base to like get the runner back on base,
Yeah,
I'm swinging.
you're swinging at
The
that.
ball came out.
Young Finch, our very own Vladimir Guerrero.
That's right. Inbound in some trouble here too. Forced to the fatal strike. Looks like he also thought he didn't like the situation, but Baronic may be a chance. At least cuts off the path. That buys time for Layers to catch on in. Forces Truancy immediately into the ultimate. A good return damage from Baronic, but they've split the fight off. Teep in some trouble. Airstrike doesn't land, but Inbound does. That brings Teep down. Inbound gets the double, but BM Bobby going to respond. Gets the kill into Griff, but Baronic finds Truancy. A big fight for Hype Unit as they find 3 in the jungle.
I love that Griff commits to using that airstrike for damage and then understands that he doesn't have a whole lot of options out, so may as well try to put out as much as I can, or at least force BM Bobby to expend resources in order to kill me so the rest of my team can continue to win the team fight, and that's exactly what happens. Inbound, Baronic, Layers, they get to free cast in that fight because everyone's too busy looking at Griff.
And that nets them a Gold Fury on top of 3 kills. A nice win for Hype Unit. 3K gold now out in the front. And Griff really has, I think, been the team player this game so far. That's why you take Slays out of there, because there's more than Slay, man. He saves, he does the damage for the team, he sacrificed himself, and it's put Hype Unit into a really good spot.
Yeah, look at the net worth on the bottom left. I mean, that's 5 members of Hype Unit. We don't color sort that. That just goes by your actual net worth. So good start for Hype Unit without a doubt. And I think that seeing Griff have a good game, even if it might not look like it on the scoreline, is a really good sign for Hype Unit, because I thought that he was a major part of their victory last year at Worlds. I think that he really came out of nowhere and was a really impressive member of this team. And then in the beginning of Season 6, I've been a little bit disappointed in what he's been putting out. Not as many performances that I would have expected for him to really jump out and shine. And for him to have a good game like this is showing me that even if it's not going to happen right away, he might be riding the ship a little bit further on down the line.
Truancy knocked up a Celeste flop, so he should be A-okay to make it back out of here. I'm glad that you talk about this impressive performance from Griff, though, because they need it. Hype Unit, they might be the favored team here, but so far, they haven't cleared a bunch of space in those standings. You might have to wait, though, as Kumquat goes for the long play, loops around onto Inbound. Fatal Strike comes out quickly, but so does the Mounted Archery. That's for the slow, but they turn around towards Griff, who airstrikes away, and even with 4 members in left, the dual lane of Hype Unit make it out.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to be flopped first in order to try and get yourself in a position to body block. As here comes that ult up and over the top, and Bobby never hits the ground again after the turtle knockup. Good synergy there, of course, between Layers and Baronic. Baronic has been on the money so far with these Vulcan ultimates.
He has not been afraid to let loose either, and unfortunately, Bobby's got to put his hands out because he's got to hold that. Really not much you can do once you've already been knocked up. Now Kumquat in some trouble, and yet again Baronic right there with the follow-up. That sends Kumquat running, and now red buff on the menu. Mr. Teep can't stick around either, and that's a successful invade. Hype Unit. Man, what a 180, right? Because in Game 1, it was just the slow, patient game, wait on this hell, and they have been on the gas here in Game 2.
Well, what do you know? It's Sanguine who has the healer. That means that their late game is probably going to be a little bit harder to beat.
Yeah.
They've got a better late game overall, I would say, without a doubt. And Hype Unit isn't sitting on their hands and letting them get to the late game. They're forcing them into fights early on. They're invading buffs. They're putting pressure onto Sanguine. And that's how you beat these sorts of compositions.
And for what it's worth, Sanguine did start that aggression, I would say, if you go all the way back to the dual lane, where they had a 4-man rotation to Inbound and Grift. They just played that about as well as you possibly can. They stayed spread out. Inbound used his ultimate at the perfect time to get him out, and then Griff was quick on the airstrike trigger as well to reposition. When they commit that heavily and find nothing, and they're a comp that would rather fight late, I mean, yeah, Hype Unit are going to look good.
They've certainly done so thus far. Wolves has had a pretty free laning phase and hasn't rotated into wreak havoc quite yet, though. You get the feeling that it's looming.
That's a good point. It's been largely the 4v4 that hasn't gone y'all's way. Also, there's a King Arthur.
Yeah, and Guan Yu is really good. I mean, I think
yes.
Guan has seen a lot of play so far in Season 6, and for good reason. He's definitely a warrior that brings a lot to your team composition, but again, it's Wolves on Arthur, so.
Can I say that I also really love Wingblade into Nemesis if you're Baronic on this Vulcan? It's such a good pickup for him.
I love it. It's cheap, it's HP, it's movement speed. You're not really lacking for power at this point in the game because you have the Pen Boots and the Book of Thoth. That's a lot that can carry you through a little bit, especially with such a cheap item as Wingblade. Pick it up. Now you build into Spear of Desolation from here or Divine Ruin, and you feel really good about your positioning. I agree. I think it's perfect. It gives him so much safety against this Nemesis and against the Merlin, because Merlin's going to spend a lot of time in that Frost stance in the mid to late game. It won't get slowed.
It's good against this entire team as Baronic yet again is willing to commit the ultimate to try and steal away the red buff from the side of Sanguine. But yeah, that's basically all Nemesis has to catch out this Vulcan is that slow, and now he'll get to say no to it once every so often. I think it was 20 seconds we saw as Inbound steals the purple buff and wears it proudly.
Another 2 buff invades, though, for Hype Unit, and it's all focused on this duo side. And it's because they know that Wolves is really completely safe on the right-hand side. They don't need to worry about getting him ahead.
Layers blinks in. That forces out the Beach, and Bobby, and the Mounted Archery as well as he turns around to at least get some damage out of it and repositions. Not as easy as it looks when you're on the sticks, but well done by Bobby. But can they keep it going? Hype Unit appeared to be committed to trying to take down this duo lane Tier 1 as Truancy goes back in with the Intoxicate, but it's not going to be enough. They've got plenty of damage and the tower falls.
Yeah, I don't know what Bobby thought was going to happen, but that was the inevitable conclusion to that siege. It does open the window for Sanguine to sneak a Pyromancer on this right-hand side, but
they want it.
Again, look at the player damage, Finch. I mean, there's only Bobby because there's been so much fighting in the duo lane, and Jacob Task with the solo slaps, and then it's everyone else on Sanguine. The Merlin hasn't really done anything yet. The Bacchus hasn't done anything yet. The Nemesis hasn't done anything yet.
Man, this is what I thought the Season 6 meta was going to be like coming in, though, right? It was you would draft this aggression on the duo side, especially with like an Erlon Shin and Achilles, where they're happy to fight in duo early on, and you're constantly invading these buffs. But instead, we've seen these supports roaming the map and refusing to come farm properly sort of strategy. So this is what the concern was coming in, and we really actually don't see too much of it. Good to see from Hype Unit that it certainly can still work if you just want to come bully down the duo lane and farm up that way.
But it takes a lot of teamwork to make it work and look this easy. And Layers has been in the right spots really, really consistently. He's been blink initiating constantly. Hype Unit's done a good job of poking out their opposition in the duo lane. This has been a dedicated team effort in order to make it look this simple.
Can't go grab the red buff, though, when you already have purple around your waist. Bobby yet again trying to stand tall, but now that might not be so easy. But a self-knock-up from Griff might have opened up the door and execute Threshold, but no way for Inbound to close that gap. So they'll settle for the TKO on Bobby and take his jungle yet again.
Looks like red was actually dropped by Hype Unit as well. So they went, yet again, 2 for 2 on buff invades. No Fury for them to take at this point. They just got a Primal Fury, so that means the next Fire Giant they might want to go to. It's going to be that much easier, but Wolves rotating in is a bad sign for Sanguine, because as you mentioned, they're already having trouble in the 4v4s. Now throw in a level 17 King Arthur in the mix.
I'd ask you not to. Tier 2 tower in left being threatened now, and Sanguine doing their best to defend. Teep is here to keep them off, but I don't think Hype Unit have given up on this one just yet, because Wolves has made the rotation 5 members strong. They can force this one down, and Guan Yu's not here. So if they want to push in now, this would certainly be the time.
This is the right time without a doubt. Really early Blizzard used by Teep, and here comes the blink in from Wolves, immediately cripples out the enemy Merlin, and not going too far forward, just enough.
And still no rotation from Jacob Task, so the Tier 2 tower absolutely comes down. And Hype Unit are still not done yet. Aggressive push in from Griff. They're going to cut the fight in half as well with the ultimate from Baronic, and that was absolutely the for real zoning ult, and nowhere for Kumquat to go.
Really nicely done by Baronic. He's
played
Vulcan
so well, hasn't he?
Has been really, really impressive so far. Just so safe, takes no damage during that last team fight, and you called it. That is the true zoning ult. Kumquat either kills himself by walking into the ult, or kills himself by turning back into my team. Your choice, man. You get it's your choose your own adventure.
Well, if I pull out my is Teep providing Wolves on King Arthur level of value scorecard, the answer is no. Okay, I see. So far we haven't gotten it from him, and now more trouble as Hype Unit surge past the Tier 1 tower in mid. Jacob Task going to continue to try and battle out with Griff, but he just turns back to the tower, grabs it, and airstrikes away as Jingweis are wont to do.
Looks like a Sunder was used there by Jacob Task. Yeah, he does have one in inventory, and this seems to be a correlation versus causation argument of, well, we're killing King Arthur, and we're using Sunder to do it. So it must be that Sunder's really good against King Arthur, and that's not always the case. I mean, yes, you can any character you're hitting with Sunder, you're gonna do more damage to him. Of course, that's how the item works. But it's not always your best option. They need help on defense more so than offense.
Well, this could finally be a good fight for Sanguine. Hype Unit aren't here in full force, but they've left Teep as the furthest forward. Aegis buys him a moment, but only a moment. Griffin brings him down in the end. No execute comes through for the Fatal Strike from Inbound, but they want to keep on fighting. Finally, an ultimate off the mark from Baronic. I don't know what that was as Inbound ends up falling, but Wolves is happy to spin to win. He takes down Truancy, and they want to keep going.
I think Baronic was about 8 seconds too early for where Kumquat was going to dash as Griff now in a 1v1 up against Bobby. Aegis is good, and that should be enough to set up Baronic for an easy double kill. Sanguine there, I mean, that is a desperation fight. They know that maybe they can catch a couple members of Hype Unit before they back. They're still a little bit weak. Maybe some of their relics are down. Something that can get the fight going in our way. I don't think Sanguine ever believes that that's actually their best, a really good fight for them. It just might be the best available fight in the foreseeable future for them, and I don't necessarily disagree with it.
I think it might have been not too bad a fight, but it just wasn't properly communicated. I don't love where Teep was positioned in that fight. He was the first one to die. He was the furthest one forward, and it's not because he was out of position so much as, I guess, as they fell back, he didn't fall back enough, and so he was the one that ended up suddenly being in the wrong spot, and that's just got to be communicated better. Level 15 now, far, far behind Baronic, who's played so well in this Vulcan so far, 5-0-3. They got to get a little bit more out of Teep. Give him some time to farm if you can. But Hype Unit, they've left no windows for him to farm. It's been his red buff they've taken every time.
Right, exactly. That's not an accident. You put behind Teep on a character that can really struggle when he gets behind. All mages can, but Merlin, the nature of the beast is he is a stance switcher at some degree, and so his abilities, his 1 and 2, will do good work, but they don't do as much as a 1-2 and ultimate from another character. He's designed to 1-2 you, or 2-1 you, then change stance to do it again. And in order to do all that, that takes time, and you need to be kind of close to a lot of your opposition, especially if you're in fire stance, and you just don't get the chance when you're behind. You don't get the chance to do it and survive. Oh, no.
Wolves rotating in. I don't think Teep recognized that this was happening. Pyromancer is earned by Hype Unit as Wolves creates the space, and they go right to the Fire Giant. Why not? Of course, this is too early to be the enhanced version, but they'll happily take it anyway. And I don't think Sanguine will be able to make it into this one at all.
Nope.
Baronic confirms it, and Fire Giant down. That's earned by the presence from Wolves.
Yeah, and Bobby needs to be careful because he's in kill range now for Wolves. I mean, he'll get his ultimate off in time, but again, anytime King Arthur trades his ultimate for a relic or an ultimate, he's winning because his ultimate is on a far shorter cooldown than yours.
Man, the more I see these Hunter builds, the more I think that Aussie is just highly valued by them, by a lot of our players, and Griff went for it before the Executioner, I think, even. And then as the Executioner, I imagine, to Kinsize to follow it up on the back end. This double lifesteal start, and it gives so much of what you need, it just seems to be favored.
Well, Finch, could you list all of the stats that all Hunters want?
I would want attack speed, pen, power, and if I can get some lifesteal, that's nice too.
Yeah, you got all those, by the way.
That's all on Aussie?
And a good passive.
And a good passive for when I'm low. Then yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, we take those for sure. We take those for sure. It's the same reason that Spear of Desolation gets built on just about every mage.
Right.
It's every stat we want. CDR, power, and pen.
Well, he's got all of it there for him as the right side Phoenix is threatened for free. Look at this beefy minion wave that forces down the right side Phoenix. Layers was there as well to help it along, and just like that, they've opened this map up. Now mid Phoenix on the menu, and they haven't even really started yet. All the relics available for both sides, really, and all ultimates as soon as Baronic is back up. Teep's not too far away either.
Wolves doesn't have a teleport for 55 seconds, so maybe you could poke him out and send him back to base. Small window of opportunity.
All you gotta do is poke out an Arthur.
Oh, that's easy.
That's all you gotta do.
Well, I've got like a mage who can do like relevant damage to him, right?
Well, normally you would, but what if I said he was 16 instead?
Oh, that's not enough.
That's not. Not at this point in the game when Baronic's level 20. and he's happy to have this kind of impact. They even have time to send layers over and push up a wave. They're just waiting. Man, I love this patience. They've been all go all game long until right now. And they're like, push up this wave, do it the right way, and then we'll push our way in.
I mean, no one contested layers on right side Phoenix, so why would anyone contest them on left side Phoenix? That's just logic happening from Hype Unit right now.
On the Hype Unit side, yes. I want to make sure that we clarify. As the wave pushes in, Team can't be the one. What?
Yeah, let's
no,
send
no,
the
no.
mage. He's 16, right? Like,
He's still 16.
Yeah, we don't like that.
He's definitely not the one. The ultimate for Baronic comes out and brings Jacob Tass low, Truancy low as well, and the left side Phoenix will go down. So will this Bacchus as he gets taken up into the air for Wolves. He does it for Hype Unit. He does it for Avalon. That's 2 Phoenixes down and 2 kills. Hype Unit doing whatever they want.
Jacob taunted in, not quite there for the pin in time as he was able to get the dash off, but now all 3 Phoenixes down. Fire Giant still on Hype Unit for a little bit longer. I think they're going to close this one out a little sooner than game 1.
They absolutely have the chance to move in right now. The Titan's already incredibly low, well below half, and Hype Unit 24-32 on the clock. They take game 2 in the set over Sanguine.
So weird that, like, Wolves had such a good game on King Arthur. Like, that, I just did not...
Not me.
I did not see that coming.
No. I mean, especially since he didn't get the Jormungandr. That's what did so well game 1, and he was on something else this time, right? So, yeah
they didn't lose the Jorm 2 games in a row.
That's very true. And they didn't get enough value out of that Merler, which they picked over the King Arthur.
No, and that's how it goes, right? I mean, you have to make the choice in the first pick slot when you're banning that way, and credit to Hype Unit, they forced Sanguine into a bad picking banning spot with the way that they were banning as well, so they deserve some credit.
Very well done there from Hype Unit, an impressive 2-0, and the kind of 2-0 you'd expect from a team with these players on it. So that's how we saw it here in the booth. Let's hear a little bit from how they saw it on the desk.
We saw it exactly the same way you guys saw it. Just a fantastic finish coming out from Hype Unit. Game number 1, a little bit of a struggle, a longer series of play. Here, this was just right to business. Hype goes, we know what we're trying to do. 22 minutes of play, 24 minutes of play here or there, and just it's over.
Pure aggression in that dual lane.
Yeah.
On Achilles' support out of inbound, up against Truancy's Bacchus. Back and forth action, but I think inbound getting the better end of the trade led to an early gold fury where Hype Unit was up about 3,000 gold at 10.5 minute marks. And this is all before King Arthur started making his rotations. Consistently was Wolves up 2 levels lead over Jacob Tass, who had a pretty good showing on the Guan Yu, I would say, for the given challenges that him and his team were presented.
Exactly. Challenges is putting it nicely. I think the Hype Unit did a number of things to put the game in their favor, and absolutely the aggression is what I noted first and foremost. Was first of all in the dual lane inbound had to get himself bailed out a couple of times. Yeah, Griffin saves, right? I like that one from aggro. But at the end of the day, I mean, that type of attention to aggression is absolutely what puts Hype Unit in position to take home the victory.
Everyone from Hype Unit have a fantastic game. I think layers on the Erlong Shen setting up so many kills. I took specific note about this 12-minute gank that he had into that dual lane where the 2v2 from Hype Unit survives the initial gank from Sanguine, where they survived that one under their own tier 1 tower, and then the counter aggression where Hype Unit threw out the blink knock up into the Vulcan ultimate, taking out BM Bobby. It was just quite a sight to see this Erlong Shen Vulcan combination.
That's what we love to see. It's I think Hype Unit plays their best when they're playing aggressively and looking for these plays. Baronic is able to kind of stay in the back. This is what Tully is talking about.
Like, look at the little mini knockup right before the Vulcan ultimate hits. It was just quite a sight, and then I think that's what led to the goal fury earlier. The tier 2 towers weren't available to left standing for long because everyone from Hype Unit just wanting to close it out once they had this power spike. Even the zoning ultimate, like that was as good of a zoning ultimate as you could want, because you either go in towards your Phoenix, eating a Vulcan ultimate, which is more than the current health that you have, or you go back into all of Hype Unit.
Yeah, Baronic, no surprise that he played fantastically. We're a little used to that at this point, to be honest with you.
And his build as well was perfectly matched against a Nemesis. Third item, Winged Blade, as if it wasn't difficult enough to lock down a Vulcan as he's hitting his abilities to get that mobility increase. But you also got to worry about the Winged Blade as well, and it's not only the Nemesis, but it's also the Frost stance out of the Merlin.
5-0-4 here for Baronic in the mid lane. 5-0-3, excuse me. Wolves, though, just outstanding performance. Just 22-3. 22,000 player damage. The number 2 player was the enemy carry at 16,000. Just incredible performance out of Wolves here on the King Arthur. That's what you expect when you grab him up, and that's exactly what came through.
And the thing was, they didn't really need him to have that lead in the 4-on-4 at first. It was everyone doing their own thing, having those advantages in the objective control, the Gold Furies, and the towers. And then here comes a level 15 or 16 King Arthur. 2 levels ahead of the Guan Yu, by the way, just wreaking havoc.
A little bit rough stuff there, but let's take a look at the screenshot, or a snapshot, excuse me, as to where everybody lies as far as the standings are concerned. You know, it's funny. We're in a digital age now. I feel like I say screenshot more often than snapshot. But Heat UPRISE is going to be there, 5-1, and Hype Unit with their victory puts them one step closer. They are 4-2.
Really close in the Xbox NA side of things, but there's also the other region.
Exactly. We have Europe as well, and we'll take a look at where everybody's chilling there. And it's Team Unrivaled. Excuse me. Team Rival find themselves unrivaled here on the standings. Dabo's Disciples, try as they may, they certainly have an uphill battle for sure.
That's right. And NA, it's relatively close between Heat UPRISE and Hype Unit. Not really too close in the Xbox EU, but in the PlayStation side of things, there's also a little bit of a lopsidedness in terms of the standings.
I mean, all the regions certainly have some craziness going on. Let's take a look at North American PlayStation and see where everything lies out. Up on top is the Shrimp Gang.
Your Shrimp Gang between Jumpa, Nequid, Covey as
Shrimp
well.
Gang. Shrimp Gang.
Can you say fast?
Excuse me?
Like the Gucci Gang song?
Excuse me?
No? Okay.
I'm
Moving
unfamiliar.
forward,
I'm unfamiliar.
Shrimp Gang just dominating today over
Shrimp
their
Gang.
victory
Shrimp
against
Gang.
Cyclone.
Shrimp Gang.
Really uncontested. Size is only just a measurement, and they are just in the sky right now with that 6-0 performance.
Shrimp Gang, OUTCOLD Gaming up on top, 6-0-9. Nice. They're looking pretty strong. Bedtime's Calling and MV3 is what we took a look at today. And what a matchup that was. Really exciting to see everything wind up the way it did. But OUTCOLD Gaming still undefeated. And they are going to be pretty hot despite their name.
It's really surprising to see how all these teams are going to match up against each other once LAN does wrap around, because so far it's what you got Shrimp Gang, you got Rival,
Shrimp
you got
Gang.
OUTCOLD Gaming, and then between North America Xbox, you don't really know who's going to come out on top between Heat UPRISE or Hype Unit yet.
It'll be pretty tough. It's always a dice roll, a coin flip. Who knows what's going to happen? That's the exciting part of the Smite Console League. So it's a lot of fun to watch the entirety of the day. Tomorrow, we got some action as well. The minor league on the way. Smite Minor League. Same place, same time. For Toli, Taco, Hinduman, Finch, Aggro, everybody behind the scenes, thank you. Catch you tomorrow.
The Smite Console League, brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Res Studios, Titan Forge, iNap, SteelSeries, and Respawn.